grew this Boom Chocolatta hardy geranium here. It's, it barely bloomed this year, and I just don't think it's in a really good location. I don't think it really gets enough sun. This is on the east side of my greenhouse, and I don't know, it is kind of being shadowed out by this, I'm so sorry, I can't think of the name of it. It's a hydrangea. Incredible Blush, is that right? I think that's what it's called. So I'm gonna dig it up, and when I dig it up, I'm gonna look and see if there's any way I can maybe take some divisions of it, and then I'm going to plant it somewhere else. Well, I got it out of the ground. It was pretty easy because the ground's really soft. And there's the hole it left. But I think I know what I want to plant there. So, but that'll be for another day. So I'm looking at this crown, and I'm not sure. I wonder if I can maybe break this loose and get some divisions out of this. You know, after shaking all the dirt off of it and looking at it, the clump is really tight, and I'd have to really butcher it. I'd have to really, really butcher it. Probably, look at all those bugs, in order to get these divisions. And it probably can be done, but I really think it probably should be done at a different time of year. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probably give it a good haircut, because it is a very large clump. I'm gonna prune it back, and then I think I'm just gonna plop it in the ground as is. I don't think I want to try to get any divisions from it at this point. If I was super crazy about this plant, then maybe I would try, but I don't know. I'm gonna give it a chance to bloom in a different location and see if it does a little bit better for me. So I just need to find the right location. So I'm thinking about this bed here. It's really messy back here because all my cardboard has completely disintegrated. And I've planted a dogwood here, and this is a European snowball bush. And then I have got a oak, what is this? Oakland holly, but it's a golden Oakland holly. So that's gonna get pretty big eventually. And then I've got that awesome smoke bush. So I'm thinking maybe somewhere in here, because it gets pretty much all day sun. Maybe somewhere on this side of that smoke bush, at least for now. I can always dig it up later, and then maybe it will be, a larger clump that I can actually divide. So I think I'm going to plant it right there. So I've got my pruners, and I'm going to prune this back pretty hard, so that first of all, it'll be easier to plant it, but also because the roots are going to be they're going to be in a new place, and they may not be able to really supply moisture and everything to all this foliage after I transplant it. So I want to get rid of some of this top growth so that the plant hopefully won't be as stressed, although you would think whacking it would stress it, huh? But I just don't want the roots to have to worry about supporting so much foliage. I'm not going to whack all of the growth off. I think that looks pretty good here. What do y'all think? Does that look pretty good? It's kind of a weird. So I think it's got a little bit more I could probably cut off, but I think that'll do for now. So now I'm gonna go dig my hole, which I should have done first because now my roots are drying out. I may spray them with some water just to keep them from getting too stressed. So I rinsed off the roots because it was covered with pill bugs, which I don't know if they were causing damage or not, but it was an infestation. So I didn't want to take any chances. So I dug me a hole, put me a little land and sea compost in with my dirt. Although this dirt is actually really pretty decent dirt here. It's not a whole lot of heavy red clay, so I felt good about that. So hopefully it will do well. Dug my hole way too deep, so I'll have to add some more dirt to it. I added a little more dirt and totally forgot to put my Biotone starter fertilizer, so I've got to go back and get that, and I'll just sprinkle that around the roots, and then we'll take the dirt and we'll backfill it and water it in good. Okay, backfilled it a little bit. Gonna water it in good. None of my garden beds are on any kind of automatic irrigation. We get so much rain that I just feel like it would be kind of silly. I try not to plant things when it gets really hot and dry because of that very reason. Because, you know, in the months of really starting in the latter part of June and July, our rain kind of slacks off, so I probably won't plant anything. Famous last words, right? I say that and then I find a plant and I have to have it, and you know how it goes. But I really don't like to plant when it gets hot. Unless it's a plant that loves heat. You know, there are some plants that love heat. So plants that like it hot and dry, probably sedum and yarrow and other ones I can't think of right now, probably echinacea, they probably would be fine. But so I may, but I'm gonna let this soak in, and then I'm going to top dress it with a little bit of my land and sea compost. It's in my little handy dandy feed scoop there. And then I'm going to mulch it in and pray over it. Hope it lives. And I mean, that sucker was tall. I mean, I cut it half size. About half of it I cut off. So it'll get probably that tall. So I think it'll be able to hold its own here in this spot. Now eventually this smoke bush will get larger and larger because it's growing like a weed. So, you know, it may mean that I might have to move this at a later time and might be able to divide it then. But it was pretty easy to dig it up, so I don't think it'll be a problem. You know, a garden, you never really know. You just kind of plant stuff unless you are really experienced and you know the plants well and you have a great design in mind and lots of money. You know, you could probably build it exactly the way you want it right off the bat, but I'm none of those things, so I'm kind of trial and error. While I'm thinking about it, let me show you the foliage on this Baptisia. I think this thing is the coolest. I mean, it almost looks like a shrub. It looks like a boxwood or something, doesn't it? You know, I mean, look at that thing. It's perfectly mounded. I haven't pruned it. I haven't cut any on it. And the foliage is this really bright, cheerful green. But it's so tidy. And if you look underneath it, it is like, it's the coolest little thing. It's like nothing. It almost looks like, well, it looks like asparagus, but it almost looks like a little forest in there. If there weren't any weeds there, you could probably really see it better, but you could actually underplant that with something. Now it dies back to the ground every year and then it comes up. But look at that. Isn't that the neatest thing? And the flowers were amazing on it. So I just think that particular perennial is pretty cool. And my daisies have just started to really put on a display. This is not a fancy variety. And they're every bit of 3 feet tall. And it is a gigantic bush. So it needs to be divided, probably several divisions. I'm not sure what variety it is because a friend of mine just gave me a clump of it. And it was just a little bitty clump in a little pot. And I planted it and it exploded in growth. So that's a pretty hardy, healthy plant. Well, there it is, all mulched in. So hopefully it won't wilt. It looks like it is kind of wanting to wilt a little bit. You can see these little limbs here kind of hanging. But they may have been like that before. There were several that were kind of like that. So it's about 15 after 6 in the evening. And the sun is getting ready to set soon. Of course, we're in that time of year where it doesn't get dark here till 8:30-ish. So hopefully, now that I'm planting it, it won't have a direct sun on it for hours, that it can maybe rebound a little bit. So I'm gonna give it one last little drink and we're gonna call this one done. Now that I have removed that Boom Chocolatta geranium, I'm not really happy with what's left here. These are the Incredible Blush Hydrangea, and there's 2 of them. And as you can tell, they're sort of leaning as if they're reaching for the sun. And there is a porch roof, and this is the east side, so they only get morning sun. And for a long time, because the sun is still more in a southerly direction early on in the spring, the sun was more this direction, so this area here was very shaded. So I'm thinking these need to be moved now as well. I'm just thinking that they're never going to perform exactly the way I want them to perform as long as they're in this spot. But they're a beautiful shade of pink, and these bloom heads are huge. So I definitely want to put them someplace that they can really shine. Probably somewhere over in here where they get full morning sun. But like I said, here, you know, they, for a long time when they first started coming out, they were in the shade pretty quick. So, but anyway, it'll give me an opportunity to do something different in this little corner. I see this little spot a lot, and this hosta is absolutely awesome. This is the Dancing Queen hosta. That chartreuse, vivid, bright, it's almost a yellow lime kind of color, is just beautiful against this Beacon Silver Lamium. So maybe a heuchera, maybe another hosta, but I think I'm going to move these as well. Thanks for watching, guys.